I opened my front door that Saturday morning to find Karen Davenport, our HOA president, pinned beneath a massive oak armoire on my porch. She was sweaty, red-faced, and absolutely furious. The 7-foot-tall piece of furniture had her trapped at an awkward angle, with one of its drawers already crashed onto my lawn. "You told me you'd help," she bellowed, struggling uselessly against the antique monstrosity. I stood there in my bathrobe, coffee mug in hand, blinking like I'd just woken up inside someone else's nightmare. "I never said that," I replied calmly. Karen, panting like she'd sprinted through August heat, hissed between breaths. "Well, I implied it hard enough that you should have understood." Behind her, parked diagonally across my driveway like it owned the place, sat a massive U-Haul, truck stuffed floor to ceiling with what looked like the entire inventory of a haunted estate sale. Broken lampshades, distressed cabinets, a rocking chair with one leg shorter than the others, and not a single helper in sight. Let me rewind, because this didn't start with an armoire assault at 8:43 a.m. My name is Tom Garrison. I'm 38, a data analyst. And 6 months ago, I moved into Maplewood Estates after inheriting my late uncle's ranch-style home. I work remotely, mind my business, and my life goals are painfully simple. Renovate quietly, avoid drama, and drink my coffee in peace. Unfortunately, Maplewood Estates already had a main character. Karen Davenport was our HOA president, self-appointed social coordinator, and full-time enforcer of vibes. She ran the homeowners association like a personal kingdom, enforcing rules with drill sergeant intensity and the fashion sense of someone who thought tennis skirts belonged in board meetings. She also ran a Facebook group called Maplewood Moms and Manifesting. I was forcibly added despite being neither a mom nor interested in manifesting anything except solitude. 3 weeks before the armoire incident, Karen discovered Facebook Marketplace. At the monthly HOA meeting, she announced the clubhouse desperately needed a rustic French cottage aesthetic makeover. Translation: someone needed to haul multiple tons of heavy, ugly furniture across town. Somehow, Karen decided that someone was me. It started with group texts hinting that it would be so nice if someone young and strong stepped up, followed by flexed arm and heart emojis. Then came the mailbox ambush. "Tom, you look like someone who works out," she said, openly scanning me. "I actually have a bad back," I replied truthfully. Years of desk work had gifted me chronic lower back pain. She waved it off. "Oh, you're being modest. I bet you could lift anything." That was the moment I should have known this wouldn't end well. After that mailbox encounter, Karen's behavior didn't cool down. It escalated. Fast. What had started as awkward hints turned into something that felt a lot like conscription. She began leaving sticky notes on my front door. Bright yellow, impossible to miss. "Truck boy Friday 9 a.m. Don't forget the dolly." I stared at that note for a solid minute, wondering if I'd accidentally joined a cult. Then came the texts. She'd send me screenshots of Facebook Marketplace listings at all hours of the day. Armoires, hutches, sideboards that looked like they'd survived multiple house fires. Each image came with captions like, "This would look perfect in the clubhouse, don't you think?" I didn't respond, so she followed up, "Just checking if you saw my last message." Then another, "Hello?" Then a thumbs-up reaction to her own text, as if that somehow obligated me to answer. I ignored everything, assuming she'd eventually get bored or find another victim. That was my second mistake. By Friday night, I'd convinced myself the situation had fizzled out. No more messages. No more sticky notes. I slept in Saturday morning, enjoying the rare luxury of not having an alarm, which is why opening my door at 8:43 a.m. to find Karen trapped under a cursed piece of furniture felt like a hallucination brought on by caffeine withdrawal. Despite my better judgment, I helped her free herself from beneath the armoire. The moment she was upright, she launched into me. "I cannot believe you would leave me stranded like this," she shrieked. "I specifically told everyone you'd committed to helping." "Karen," I said, keeping my voice level, "I told you multiple times that I have spinal stenosis. I cannot lift heavy furniture." She scoffed. "I thought you were joking." "Who jokes about medical conditions? People who don't want to help," she snapped back. She started dragging the armoire toward the U-Haul, scraping it loudly across my porch. Then she turned, narrowed her eyes, and said, "Well, since you're here now, you might as well help me with just one thing." Against my instincts, and partly out of pity, I set my coffee down and helped her carry a small coffee table from the truck. It was light enough not to destroy my spine, so I figured I could at least end the interaction quickly. Halfway across my driveway, Karen launched into a rant about the previous homeowners' ungodly use of laminate. Mid-sentence, she dropped her end of the table. It hit the concrete and exploded into what I can only describe as furniture confetti. She stared at the wreckage for half a second, then pointed at me. "This is your fault." I didn't argue. I didn't explain. I just went back inside, locked my door, and thought, naively, that this was finally over. I was wrong about it being over. Spectacularly wrong. That night, while I was reheating leftovers and trying to mentally erase the image of shattered coffee table fragments from my driveway, my phone buzzed. It was an email from the HOA mailing list, sent to all 247 homeowners. Karen's name sat proudly in the sender field. "I'm pleased to announce that Tom Garrison has committed to assisting our community redesign effort," it read. "His dedication to neighborhood beautification is truly inspiring." I stared at the screen, reread it twice, and then laughed. Not because it was funny, but because it was either laugh or throw my phone through a wall. By Monday morning, things escalated from irritating to absurd. I opened my door to find 3 HOA violation notices taped neatly in a row. The first cited me for unauthorized vehicle use because my truck had been parked within 50 feet of the clubhouse the previous Thursday while I'd stopped to get my mail. The second was for improper dress code in common areas because I'd worn sweatpants to take out my trash. The third notice was my favorite: non-collaborative attitude detrimental to community spirit. Then I checked Facebook. In the Maplewood Moms and Manifesting group, Karen had made a public post. "Could really use more strong helpers like Tom Garrison for our clubhouse project," she wrote, followed by a flexed arm emoji and a heart. In parentheses, she added, "He's single, ladies." She had tagged me. She had also somehow managed to tag my ex-wife, who lived 3 states away and had absolutely no connection to Maplewood Estates. That was the moment something inside me snapped into place. I stopped being annoyed and started being methodical. I began documenting everything. Every text message, every email, every sticky note she'd slapped onto my door like a summons. I photographed the furniture crammed inside the U-Haul and started digging into where it had come from. That's when I found the first crack in her story. None of the furniture purchases had been approved by the HOA board. There had been no vote, no budget allocation, no official renovation plan. Karen had been buying everything herself and storing it temporarily in the clubhouse. But it didn't stop there. I found her other Facebook profile, the one she used for business. It was called Davenport's Interior Faith Aesthetics. There, in neatly staged photos, was the same furniture she claimed was for the clubhouse. She was flipping it, buying cheap, storing it on HOA property, then reselling it at a 300% markup. I saved everything: screenshots, listings, transactions. By the time I was done, I had a folder thick enough to end careers. Karen Davenport didn't just need to be ignored anymore. She needed consequences. The next HOA meeting was scheduled for Thursday evening, and for the first time since moving into Maplewood Estates, I actually looked forward to one. I showed up early with my laptop, a charging cable, and a PowerPoint presentation titled Karen's Used Furniture Empire. A cautionary tale. The room filled fast. Word travels quickly in the suburbs, especially when HOA drama is involved. Karen tried to open the meeting with her usual authoritative tone, tapping her clipboard like a gavel. But I raised my hand immediately. "I have a matter of urgent community concern to discuss," I said. "We have an agenda, Tom," she replied sharply. "Personal grievances can wait until open forum." "This isn't personal," I said. "It's about misuse of HOA property and potential legal liability for every homeowner in this room." That did it. The board exchanged glances, whispered briefly, and voted to let me speak. I connected my laptop to the projector. The first slide appeared. A photo of Karen screaming at a folding chair in the clubhouse parking lot, taken 2 weeks earlier. A ripple of uncomfortable laughter moved through the room. The next slide showed a spreadsheet comparing her Facebook Marketplace purchase prices with her resale listings. Gasps followed. Then came screenshots of Venmo transactions, storage photos from the clubhouse, and finally, her rejected business license applications. Karen's face cycled through red, purple, and a shade of white I'd only seen in medical dramas. This is hostile masculinity energy, she sputtered. He's attacking me because I asked him to help with community service. Actually, board member Janet Morrison said quietly, this looks like fraud. Before Karen could respond, the conference room door opened. A county inspector walked in holding a thick stack of papers and, inexplicably, a broken antique lamp. I'm looking for Karen Davenport, he said. We've received multiple complaints about unlicensed business operations on HOA property. He began reading violations, zoning infractions, misuse of communal space, operating without a license. The list went on for nearly 5 minutes. The total fines came to $37,000. The board voted unanimously to suspend Karen as HOA president. Effective immediately, a cease and desist order was issued for her business. Karen stood up, knocked over her chair, and pointed at me, shaking. You did this, she screamed. You ruined everything because you couldn't move a few pieces of furniture. No, I replied calmly. You ruined everything by running an illegal business and forcing neighbors into unpaid labor. She stormed toward the door, shouting that we'd all regret it when the clubhouse looked like a prison cafeteria. Ma'am, the inspector said, clearing his throat, you still need to sign these papers. And there's the matter of potential criminal charges. Her jaw dropped. She signed, fled, and peeled out of the parking lot so fast she took out a deck.